A significant hint regarding Ripple's next course of action with the SAC was just provided by Brad Garlinghouse. Now that I think about it, most people are asking themselves, what else could there be? I have continuously closed each month in profit for more than 440 days. With just 4% drawdown, my followers have made over $34,000 in gains in the previous 90 days alone. Results that have been verified, not just claims. Do you wish to view my confirmed statistics? Start duplicating my trades for free right now by clicking the first link in my profile. Let's start this video by discussing Ripple's new stablecoin venture, which hasn't received much attention but ought to. With the formal conclusion of the SAC's lawsuit against Ripple, I believe a new era is ahead. Prepare to hear much more from the Ripple crew, including David Schwartz and Brad Garlinghouse. Since, let's be honest, everything they said could have been used as a weapon in court, Ripple had to remain beneath the radar for the last 4 years. However, the quiet has ended and Ripple is once again in the spotlight. The SAC persisted in attempting to add further accusations to the Ripple v. SEC case, even focusing on goods that weren't included in the first complaint. They seemed to be attempting to test what would stick by flinging all they had at Ripple. Because of this, Ripple's team had to be cautious and pick their comments carefully so as not to give the SAC any more ammunition. This is the exciting part, though. Finally, Brad Garlinghouse has discussed Ripple's stablecoin venture. We're getting a first look at what they think about this expanding market. Let's watch this recent video and find out what he had to say. The SAC weighed so heavily that Ripple's voice was muted for a long time. However, things are changing now. Finally, a new video featuring Brad Garlinghouse discussing their new stablecoin business is available. I promise you'll want to listen carefully to what he has to say. Nothing less than thrilling describes it. Personally, I've been astounded by USD's amazing ascent. However, the enthusiasm is elevated to a whole new level after hearing Brad's perspective. Stablecoins are entering a new era, particularly as the US gets closer to having clearer regulations. What are the prospects? Enormous. The potential of a market that is currently valued at $230 billion should not be undervalued. According to some analysts, the market for stablecoins may expand tenfold during the next 5 years. And to be honest, they may be correct. Prominent firms like USDC and Tether are at a position for success in this rapidly expanding market. Our own stablecoin, our USD, was introduced by Ripple last year, and it is already surpassing our internal projections. Despite our modest size, we have big plans. By the end of the year, rank our USD among the top 5 stablecoins. This year, the market as a whole is poised for rapid expansion. So, how can we achieve that objective? Worldwide reach and strategic alliances. We pave the door for even larger acceptance by securing further listings for USD on major cryptocurrency exchanges just today. It takes a while to observe the ripple effect as it develops whenever you attempt something new. We are currently witnessing it in real time, which is tremendously thrilling. We're ahead of our Q1 estimates, as I indicated, and that progress feels great. Let's start by acknowledging that Brad Garlinghouse has been doing interviews for a very long time again because of the Ripple versus SEC saga. Brad was conspicuously out of the limelight. Why? The SAC locked in its charges against Ripple when they filed their complaint. However, they persisted in bringing up irrelevant items that Ripple had introduced along the way, things that had nothing to do with the case's real problems. Brad's return and the opportunity to exchange ideas without the commotion is welcome. It appeared as though the SAC was trying everything in the hopes that anything would stick. In response, Ripple had to be careful about their public remarks and play it carefully. As a result, it was disappointing for a while to hear little from important people like Brad Garlinghouse. One of the best strategies to comprehend how this sector is changing is to hear from individuals like Brad and David Schwartz. However, Brad Garlinghouse's return and candid remarks are welcome. The change is palpable. He appears lighter, as though a huge burden has been removed. His excitement and openness are evident in this most recent interview, and it's delightful to see. The remarkable rise of RLUSD is one noteworthy conclusion to be drawn from Brad's remarks. He clarified that RLUSD is rising more quickly than anticipated and surpassing Ripple's internal forecast. That is a huge victory and unquestionably positive for the future of RLUSD. By shattering its own internal goals, RLUSD is currently moving closer to an unavoidable milestone, an astonishing $200 million market valuation. There was a minor change in tone in recent interview that I noticed. He seemed to be avoiding escalating the arguments over tribalism that have been going around recently. What's most interesting, though, is what he doesn't state directly. He brings up Tether's continued success, for example, but there's a hint that Ripple might be ready to make a significant impact. The reason why Ripple has a genuine chance to overthrow Tether is straightforward. Adherence. In important nations, Tether has been evading regulatory requirements, making room for Ripple to intervene. The United States is currently establishing the framework for stablecoin laws. And this is a major matter. Ripple may have the advantage it needs to take control because of its alignment with compliance. Additionally, the winds of change seem to be blowing very strongly. These laws governing stablecoins are serious, sufficiently stringent that only industry titans like Ripple or perhaps Circle can actually adhere. Here's the crucial query, though. Why isn't Tether taking action and adhering to the new US regulations? The worst part is about to happen. Compared to the what was Tether's involvement with MICA? As if it were no big matter, they simply bailed and waved goodbye to the European market. Therefore, there will be a huge void if Tether chooses to exit the US market as well. And, who's in a prime position to take control? The Ripple. Allow me to explain why Ripple could be the bright spot waiting to fill this gap. Ripple stands out due to its new features and transparency. For instance, consider the XRP ledger. It has features like a clawback feature and decentralized Consider a financial institution inadvertently transferring funds to the incorrect account. They can just get it back as opposed to a too bad it's gone forever situation that no bank would tolerate. Financial institutions need these straightforward, doable answers. The worst part, though, is that most people are ignoring rippling custody. Although it's not widely known, it's revolutionary. Ripple custody is more than simply a product. It's a calculated move that subtly integrates Ripple into big bank systems. Few people were familiar with the moniker Medeco when it was acquired by Ripple, and